This runner overview is about last year's champion, Blaidan. Blaidan was seeded into Group A and is leaving that group as the first seed. His win-loss record is 9-0, his any percent PB is a 116.05 and is ranked first on the leaderboards. Blaidan is a heavy favorite to win this year, not only being the any percent world record holder, but also being last year's champion. With one title under his belt, Blaidan will be hungry to get the second title this year at Mach 3 March. Will he get it? Only time will tell. This runner profile, and what do I even say about this guy, is about Bumpkin. Bumpkin was seeded into Group O and will be leaving that group with a 6-3 win-loss record in the second seed. His any percent PB is a 124.27 with a leaderboard position of 40th. People may love to meme on Bumpkin, but this has led to him being underestimated more than once. In the previous two Mach March tournaments, he's always managed to get at least one major upset in the bracket stage. Can he repeat the process this year? Only time will tell here in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about a relatively new runner. Hey look, ItzBytez. ItzBytez was seeded into Group E and is leaving that group as the second seed with a 5-4 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 125.32 with a leaderboard position of 47th. As a relatively new runner to the community, this will be the first time we see ItzBytez in the bracket stage of Mach March. As a result, he's a bit of a dark horse, with nobody really knowing how well he's going to perform. So all we can do is wait and see how he does this year in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about they who've caused a big upset, Chill Spirit. Chill was seeded into Group K and will be leaving that group as the first seed with an 8-1 win-loss record. Their any percent PB is a 123.53 with a leaderboard position of 35th. Despite his leaderboard position, Chill Spirit is somebody that you cannot take for granted, as shown by his upset over GoviS in the group stage. With that upset under his belt, as well as several impressive IL times, we'll have to see how well Chill Spirit can do this time around in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about a guy with stamina, ClipboardGuy. Clipboard was seeded into Group N and will be leaving that group as the first seed with a 7-2 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 120.39 with a leaderboard position of 18th. ClipboardGuy is another newer runner with massively solid improvement within the last year. This is, however, his first time participating in the Mach March event. He's shown that he has solid enough gameplay to get first seed out of his group, but can that momentum carry into the bracket stage? Only time will tell this time around in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about a guy with a name I like to say, Clork. Clork was seeded into Group O and will be leaving that group as the first seed with a 7-2 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 120.50 with a leaderboard position of 19th. Another runner who's taken a small break from the game, Clork has always been a solid runner, slowly but surely climbing his way through the leaderboards when he was actively grinding the game. This time around, he's hoping to get a better placement than 17th in the bracket stage. Will he do so? Only time will tell here in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about one of our fastest improving runners, Dadadu. Dadadu was seeded into Group F and is leading that group as the number 1 seed with a win-loss record of 8 wins and 1 loss. His any percent PB is a 118.54 with a leaderboard position of 8th. Dadadu's first run was a 137.10, and only 10 months later does he post a top 10 time to the leaderboards of a 118.54. With such rapid improvement, it's clear that Dadadu is a threat that everyone has to respect this year at Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about one of our best console runners, Doakey. Doakey was seeded into Group J and will be leaving that group with an 8-1 win-loss record as the first seed. His any percent PB is a 123.54 with a leaderboard position of 36th. Doakey leaving Group J as the first seed was an unexpected result, getting a huge upset over Sway to get the first seed out of his group. With that momentum behind him, can Doakey carry that into a strong bracket performance? Only time will tell this time around in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about a genuine good dude, AngrySpaceDorito. Dorito was seeded into Group I and will be leaving that group as the second seed with a 6-3 win-loss record. Their any percent PB is a 123.56 with a leaderboard position of 37th. Dorito hasn't run the game as much as some other runners in recent times, but they still managed to get out of their group comfortably with a 6-3 win-loss record. Is Dorito hiding some hidden skill that they've been practicing in recent memory? Only time will tell here at the Mach 3 March tournament.
This runner profile is about the voice lad himself, LordFluffy. Fluffy was seeded into Group P and is exiting that group as the first seed with a win-loss record of 6-0. His any percent PB is a 121.33 with a leaderboard ranking of 20th. Fluffy was always known in the community as the beacon of consistency, avoiding riskier strats to maintain good rhythm in the run, but they have always struggled with tournament nerves during Mach March events. Can Fluffy overcome their nerves this year and place the highest they've ever managed? Only time will tell.
This runner profile is about a community veteran, Forgiven. Forgiven was seeded into Group C and is leaving that group as the second seed with a win-loss record of 6 wins and 3 losses. His any percent PB is a 128.51 with a leaderboard position of 62nd. Forgiven is a veteran in the community, with his first run being from over 5 years ago. However, his most recent run is from over 2 years ago. How has Forgiven's play improved since then? It remains to be seen, and we'll see so here in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about one of our resident TOs, Forte. Forte was seeded into Group P and will be leaving that group as the second seed with a 2-4 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 122.33 with a leaderboard position of 23rd. While being known more for TOing the tournaments, Forte is actually a mainstay in the Mach March bracket stage, with this year being his third appearance. Can Forte make a deep run this year and improve his standing from last year? Only time will tell here in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about another fast improving Brit, FroopLoop. FroopLoop was seeded into Group I and is leaving that group with a 9-0 win-loss record as the first seed. Her any percent PB is a 120 flat with a leaderboard position of 14th. Another runner who's made massive improvements this year, FroopLoop is sitting there right on the 120 barrier, proving without a shadow of a doubt that she is someone you have to respect this year in the Mach 3 March tournament. How will she fare in her first tournament? Only time will tell. This runner profile is about the two-time runner-up, Fzzy. Fzzy was seeded into Group E and is leaving that group as the number 1 seed with a win-loss record of 8 wins and 1 loss. His any percent PB is a 118.25 with a leaderboard ranking of 7th. Fzzy has always batted higher than his seeding average, with his 2 times as the Mach March runner-up being a big indicator of this. As a result, people's eyes are on Fzzy this year to see if he can break that 2-time curse and take the victory this time around. This runner profile is about the upset king in Group A, Gamion. Gamion was seeded into Group A and is leading that group in the second seed. His win-loss record is 5-4, his any percent PB is a 128.42, and is a rank on the leaderboard of 60th. Gamion makes his way into the bracket stage, upsetting the second seed in Group A. Despite not being well known by the community, Gamion actually has a sub-90 time from over 3 years ago, meaning he knows what he's doing. You absolutely cannot count out Gamion in the bracket stage this time around. This runner profile is about the man with the funny dog profile pic, GoviS. GoviS was seeded into Group K and will be leaving that group with a 6-3 win-loss record as the second seed. His any percent PB is a 120.19 with a leaderboard position of 17th. GoviS has always been a strong runner, having previously held some IL world records. With that being said, it has been some time since he's consistently run the game. Having been upset in the group stage now, it remains to be seen how well GoviS can perform in the bracket stage here in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about the tournament dark horse, GunnarHawk. GunnarHawk was seeded into Group L and will be leaving that group with a 9-0 win-loss record. His any percent PB Oh, he doesn't have an any percent PB. Interesting. GunnarHawk is an interesting case. You'd think without an any percent time he'd be difficult to seed into this tournament, but you'd be wrong. GunnarHawk has shown insane IL prowess, previously holding the Blood and Rust world record as well as currently holding the Abyss 3 world record. GunnarHawk is absolutely this tournament's dark horse, and it remains to be seen how well he'll do in the bracket stage. This runner profile is about a name that I can trust, Human. Human was seeded into Group M and will be leaving that group as the second seed with a 5-4 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 123.18 with a leaderboard position of 27th. Another relatively new name to the Titanfall community, Human has put out several solid times in Pilots Challenge, any percent, as well as some ILs. Is he going to be somebody that you should look out for this year? I think so 100%. Don't count him out, Human's here to take you down. This runner profile is about a genuine good dude, Lemuura. Lemuura was seeded into Group D and is leaving that group as the second seed with a win-loss record of 5 wins and 4 losses. His any percent PB is a 127.50 with a leaderboard ranking of 57th. Lemuura has been around in the community for some time, but his focus has never 100% been on Titanfall. With that being said, with his most recent PB of 2 months ago proving that he's been playing the game as of late, it'll remain to be seen how well Lemuura will do this year in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about another community veteran, MasScout. MasScout, or Scoot, was seeded into Group G and is leaving that group as the second seed with a win-loss record of 6 wins and 3 losses. His any percent PB is a 124 flat, with a leaderboard position of 38th. Being around in the tournament scene for a long time, MasScout definitely has the experience advantage over a lot of runners this time in Mach 3 March. With that being said, he may not have kept as up to date on strategies as some of the more recent runners as well, so it'll remain to be seen how well Scoot will perform versus some of these new runners here in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about our resident Elmo, Nextracer. Nextracer was seeded into Group C and is leaving that group as the first seed with a win-loss record of 9-0. His any percent PB is a 117.50 with a ranking of 4th on the leaderboard. Nextracer always has high potential to take any game he goes into. However, he's known to have suffered from tournament nerves in the past. Will those nerves be under control this year around? I believe so, but it remains to be seen this year in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about a former potato, Rozenna. Rozenna was seeded into Group F and will be leaving that group as the second seed with a win-loss record of 4 wins and 5 losses. Their any percent PB is a 134.13 with a leaderboard rank of 104th. It's worth noting that Rozenna has a 127 equivalent in NCS, meaning that the 134 PB on any percent is not indicative of their skill. With that knowledge in mind, how well will Rozenna do this year in Mach 3 March? Only time will tell. This runner profile is about the number 1 seed in the whole tournament, LordFluffy. LordFluffy was the number 1 seed in Group A and will be leaving that group number 1 as well with a 9-0 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 121.31 with a ranking on the leaderboards of 20th. This runner profile is about a loved community member, Sapphire in Pink. Sapphire in Pink, or Saf, was seeded into Group N and will be leaving that group as the second seed with a 6-3 win-loss record. Her any percent PB is a 122.39 with a leaderboard position of 24th. Despite taking a break from the game for some time due to burnout, Saf has proven that she's still very proficient at Titanfall 2, easily securing her second seed out of Group N. Can Sapphire make a strong performance this year in the Mach 3 March group stage? Only time will tell, but I can't wait to see it. This runner overview is about our spooky scary Skeleton Jelly. Skeleton Jelly, or Skelly, was one of the 2 leaving Group D, with the first seed from that group. His win-loss record from the groups is 9-0, and his any percent PB is a 118.09 with a rank of 6th on the leaderboard. Skelly is one of the longest tenured runners in the Titanfall community, and this year around he's shown that he is absolutely capable of becoming a top 3 contender in the leaderboards. It's yet to be seen if that'll translate to a strong performance in bracket stage this year. but one thing's for certain, you can never count out Skelly. This runner profile is about last year's dark horse, Skyze. Skyze was seeded into Group N and will be leaving that group as the first seed with a 9-0 win-loss record. His any percent PB, though unverified, is a 119.24 with a leaderboard position theoretically of 10th. Known more for being an IL runner, Skyze is a contender through and through. Last year he put out a fantastic performance in Mach 2 March and hopes to repeat a similar or better performance this year in Mach 3 March. Will he? Only time will tell. This runner profile is about Sontles, Sontles. Sontles was seeded into Group L and will be leaving that group as the number 2 seed with a 5-4 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 137.45 with a leaderboard position of 132nd. Sontles was not expected to get out of his group, but managed to get the upset over Spectral Smitty to get his way into the bracket stage. With the bracket stage now upon us, will Sontles continue his run of potential upsets? Only time will tell this time around in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about the Mindset King, Sway. Sway was seeded into Group J and will be leaving that group with a 7-2 win-loss record as the second seed. His any percent PB is a 120.12 with a leaderboard position of 16th. Sway is well respected in the Titanfall community and has one of the best mindsets out there. You can expect him, despite having been upset in his group, to not let that affect him as he hopes to go on a tear in the bracket stage of Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about our fastest improving Brit, TJPls. TJ was seeded into Group G and is leaving that group first seed with a 9-0 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 119.37 with a leaderboard rank of 10th. TJ has been one of our fastest improving runners, making his way from his first posted run all the way to the top 10 in a sub 120 within a 6-month period. TJ is absolutely not somebody that you can disrespect this time in his first go-around in the Mach March tournament. This runner profile is about our resident chill dude, Viz. Viz was seeded into Group H and is leaving that group as the number 1 seed with a 7-2 win-loss record. His any percent PB is a 119.59 with a leaderboard position of 13th. Though he hasn't focused heavily on Titanfall for some time, Viz is always somebody that can pick the game back up and be where he was when he left it in no more than a few hours worth of practice. His performance in group stage was solid all around, and we'll see if he can only manage to improve his gameplay going into the Mach 3 March bracket stage. This runner profile is about a surprise entrant into the bracket stage, Wolfgang. Wolfgang was seeded into Group H and will be leaving that group with a 6-3 win-loss record as the second seed. His any percent PB is a 138.43 with a leaderboard position of 142nd. Wolfgang only recently came back to the Titanfall community, but it's clear that his skills have improved since the last time he ran the game. With a group stage upset under his belt, we'll see how Wolfgang can perform in the bracket stage this time around in Mach 3 March. This runner profile is about they who've had big improvement, Zetika. Zetika was seeded into Group B and is leaving that group as the second seed. Their win-loss record is 7 wins and 2 losses. Any percent PB on the leaderboards is a 125.27 with a ranking of 44th. Last year, Zetika's path to bracket was incredible, taking part in a 3-way tiebreaker that they ultimately won to secure their slot. This year, Zetika firmly secures their slot into the bracket stage with a 7-2 win-loss record, even taking a victory over the first seed, Zweek. Zetika is definitely someone to keep an eye on this year around. This runner profile is about our resident meme lord, Zweek. Zweek was seeded into Group B and is exiting that group number 1 seed with a win-loss record of 8-1. His any percent PB is a 116.29, ranked second on the leaderboards. A lot of people have their eyes on Zweek this year to win the whole tournament, not only because he's second place on the leaderboards, but also because he's hungry to avenge his loss to Blaidan last year in the Mach 3 March finals. Can Zweek finally do it this year and take the tournament? Only time will tell here in Mach 3 March.